uh, using GenAI for structuring and interpreting knowledge, and I really like to use that a lot. I started to learn about that in Oxford a couple of years ago, and since then did a lot of enterprise presentation, nonprofit presentation, and networks working with the same technology. Yeah, and this is just the state where I am. I don't claim to be, the world only or world best or whatever. Just sharing some of our experiences of using GenAI in the context of the knowledge management global network. And this is the brief agenda I prepared. And I think it's quite simple. We start very basic with the prompt structure. We try to use different kind of media. I think this is the reality of most of us today. And then we move on to interpreting that. Some of the more interesting content, like how to use it, was already presented in the seminar series, in the knowledge management seminar series hosted by Moria Levy this year, and is still going. I think people can still sign on Moria and pay like for members the $100 and still receive like more than 12 sessions. I think it's not yet half time done, but I think it's related to this presentation. So I'm going to do a quick intro into large language models, do a little quick introduction to prompting, and then connect the basic prompts and including media files and try to create some output structures. I think this is not rocket science, but if we use a few like basic indicators, that's quite simple. Usually, the first thing is to start with some, definitions, but I would like to keep it a little bit interactive. I provided a few slides, but let's do a little poll later on. So there are lots of tools for using GenAI. Obviously, most of you being in this room know and apply them quite easily. So my list here is ChatGPT, obviously, which was on the forefront, and I'm using Gemini a lot, Claude and Perplexity, Mistral. Mistral is the usual European brand, which is focusing a little bit more on our European legislation and regulation, maybe focusing a little bit more on privacy and data protection than other models, but I think they're pretty much the same all over the world. All of those models I know have a free plan, and they have a beginner's guide. And I really appreciate using the introduction, the prompting guide by David Burse. I really learned a lot from him, but obviously the big ones like the Google Gemini Prompting 101 is available too. So I recommend beginners to use that. Think there's no rocket science here, but for real beginners, that would be the basic orientation. Uh, and obviously, we need to make sure that everyone has access to a large language model. So usually it's quite simple to log into one of those links I provided up here. Maybe you paste one if you don't have one. Then the registration process is quite easy with the Gmail or other email accounts. Then you set the password and more or less it's done. What I really recommend is this little element down here, set the privacy. So this is, as you hear from my European context, a concern in some domains, but not all. So there are more liberal areas, but I really recommend to set the privacy. And now, Vet, thank you for providing our poll. I'm really interested to see the sharing and the presentation or yeah, the relative market share of tools. And yeah, wish to learn who is using what kind of large language model. I see a result here. We have 5 votes. I'm not sure how long we should keep it open because a share of bots is already present here, Zoom being one of them. But I think that we can complete this and share the result. I hope this is becoming visible. I said, can you see the results? I hope so. Hmm? So
Yeah.
OpenAI and ChatGPT seem to be the majority, but there are others. Maybe the users who are using other options as well could just type in the chat which models you're using. I'm just checking for myself. Um, Copilot, Edwin, thank you for sharing that. Obviously, forgot it, yeah. And then there is DeepSeek, obviously the very large Chinese model, Replit. Yeah, thank you, Stuart. Uh, so there are lots of different models available, and I think they're more or less on equal level. So let's just keep moving. My most important element here, starting this discussion on large language models, is the uh, standard distribution model. I think this is extremely important, and a little bit statistics. Moria obviously knows much more, being a mathematician and formal scientist. So this is the standard distribution where most of these models build on. And I think this usually works well if you use the standard questions. Yeah, like for example, can you give me an introduction to AI, for example? Then the AI model, the LLM, is focusing on the most likely answer, the mean, more or less, yeah, but avoiding the extremes. And the same applies for tonalities and strategic positioning. But here, I think it's important to make a difference. And our shared context is the knowledge management part. So I'm now leaving the basics, yeah, the statistics. I will not dive into standard deviations, but I assume that this is set. But I would like to focus on a topic which is familiar to most of you. Uh, we are using a lot of those basic strategic context, knowledge management strategies, and one of the first was published in the old millennium, 1999, in Harvard Business Review, where we have this codification and personalization strategies. So these are different approaches, and what you see up here in our pattern is that we have then two poles. Yeah, it's not the mean in the middle, in the center, but we have a duality of expressions. And the more strategically specific we become in our interaction with LLMs, the more relevant these outliers, those deviations from the mean are for us. So one of the maybe very well-known concepts is, for example, in strategy, the cost leadership or the differentiation, like technological differentiation. So if we go for the mean, then we will be in the middle ground in nowhere land. And this is not helping my interactions with LLMs. So usually it's important to teach and to argue with the model, with the agent, and make very clear that I would either go for cost leadership or for product development or differentiation, whatever. But the models usually suggest a combination as the sweet spot. And according to my experience in the strategic management and knowledge management discussions, I would not recommend to go for the middle ground because most of the people are there. So let's avoid that place. And one way to avoid those places is, I would say, to focus on the criteria and make a choice. Say either in strategy we go for strategy for cost leadership, or for product differentiation, or for something else. Yeah, but the combination. This is not a good place to be. And I think that's really making sense to include in our prompts. So I have another quick poll. Um, did you, in your work with LLMs, have the practical experience that LLMs are suggesting combinations to you, like the hybrid part of it, or is it advising an extreme point, like go for this or for that? Are you experiencing a lot of extremes, or are you seeing the regular bell curve
I
patterns?
think that the definition, that what you're saying is not what is written, because what you're saying is convergent to the average. And what you're writing is contradictions. And we are not, and while we don't have contradictions, we do have convergent to the average. Or we may not have contradictions, but we have convergent to the average.
Yes, Moria, you're right. This is maybe we should have framed the question in that way. Yeah. So what would that be in that context? Have you experienced LLM suggest a conversion to the average, right?
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
I would say yes.
Yeah, okay. Then it would be yes. Yeah, okay. So I think the pattern is quite clear, 80% leaning to this conversion. I hope you can see the results of this quick poll. And this is what I see a lot in my work with customers and with partners. Most of the LLM answers are in the middle. Yeah. And I think for strategic positioning, this is the worst place. Yeah. And I cannot really I cannot really work with it. So let's move a little.
I want to say something in favor of it. When we are trying to understand what are the different aspects of any issue in order
Mhm.
to understand in order to choose later on.
Yeah,
It is wonderful that it converges. It doesn't bring all the extreme cases, but gives
yeah.
us the main eight, the main five, the main whatever, based on the knowledge of the world. That's the idea of knowledge management, learning from other organizations. So that's where I don't want the extremes. There are places where I want it when I'm in niche top disciplines or topics or questions, when I have a very specific context, etc., etc. But the first answer, it's wonderful that it converges to the average, and that's what enables it to integrate and to synergize and to give us good answers.
I think, Maria, this is extremely valid, and particularly for communication purposes. Having a common ground established, it makes communication much more likely and much more successful if we have a shared understanding, like the median, the middle ground. But if we go for strategic positioning, I think all of us look and search for the USP, the unique selling point or positioning. Yeah, and in that differentiation, I think, yeah, we start in the middle, in the center, in the common ground, and then find some diversity. And
So
so
that's
I
step
think it's
one and
not,
step two. So first of all, you are in a quest for something that is unique.
yeah,
And that's not all strategic decisions,
yeah,
because we started a discussion on strategic decisions. Strategic decisions, it's wonderful to understand the 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 baseline, and
yeah.
that would give us a wonderful baseline. When I want to go to my choice, I need to add a context. If I want it to be unique, I have to use the LLM or use my human beings or any combination to get to that extreme point.
Wonderful. I think that's the perfect ladder to my next slide, where I try to use this criteria frameworks, because then we have this common ground or this starting point, and then, for example, Moria, the joint denominator for us would be the ISO 3041, I think, in knowledge management. Then we have the systems, but then we have other activities as well. So maybe the standard or a management model could be a wonderful like standard representation to identify a kind of criteria list and to find out where our situation is to be positioned. And for me, this is particularly helpful because people already thought about the completeness. So if we use, for example, the standard, the ISO 3041, then somebody like your working group was working on the complete list. And even though it's emerging and evolving, I think it's a much better starting point than if I try to collect an ad hoc list of criteria and say it would be cool to consider something in the context of knowledge management, for example. Yeah. And there's another one. In my point of view, if we have clear references, then typically the Gen AI models know that models already. So even though the standards, most of the standards in the ISO world are proprietary and not available to the non-paying user, the Gen AI models typically know them anyway. So we can use those criteria, and this I think is a big advantage for us. Another one is that other people like the rest of the world, can relate to our work much easier, even though we maybe do not know each other. And that is coming from my own background, which is business management, obviously. This is lowering transaction costs. So I think if we can relate to those known frameworks, we have the advantage of being, having an interface to other people, as well as having a clear foundation to negotiate with large language models. So I think let's use them. And where is my next slide? I think, Moria, this might make sense for you. Obviously, is there any other comment or observation in using frameworks or references in prompting? Did you do that already a lot? Anybody?
No.
No, not yet. Okay. So at least this starts to be a new element of the session, I hope. And so I would just move on and dive into our context of KMGN. We collected, thanks to most of the contributors here in the room and others, lots of material in the form of YouTube videos. And the big question is, if you have such a long list, for example, on the Global Knowledge Week, which is going to be presented in September, October again, in first week of October, if I remember correctly. So how can we find out the most relevant video? Because usually the meta tags or the descriptions are not complete. And so this was one way where when we started to reflect, how can we understand and explore videos using AI? Yeah, and simple question: which one is to be watched first? Yeah, because most of them are longer than 1 hour. So I think that's a simple question, and we came up with one of those solutions where you see contributions from all over the world, from Australia, from Africa, from Europe, from America, so all around the world. And down here, you see a list of criteria which are mentioned in the ISO 3041 standard as a framework. And I come back to my reference model. See, the standard is known or at least accepted in most of our communities. And we say, okay, maybe I do not agree with that kind of terminology, but at least I know what you might mean. And I think this is a big advantage if we know, okay, this is about technology, this is about culture, this is about human capital, or not. Yeah. So I think this is giving additional orientation, and that's why we can use it. And so let's dive into that. Yeah. Let's use the ISO 3041 as a rubric, as a standard scale for our work. Let's find out some of our YouTube videos where we are constantly producing new ones. And let's try to create a kind of structured overview or metadata according to the scales and categories provided by the standards. So this is the approach, and this is the standard. I think this is not very important to introduce, because there's another presentation to be found on YouTube as well. But there are the most interesting contents for me today is the chapter 4, where we structure the knowledge management system. So if we dive into that enabling factors, we are here on chapter 4.4.4, which is talking about enabling human capital, for example, processes, governance, knowledge management, culture, the terms I used already. Or if we move into the future and develop the knowledge, then we are in chapter 4.4.2, which is just another section. But see, I just pasted the text, and you find activities like acquiring new knowledge or retaining current knowledge versus outdated knowledge that needs to be abandoned. So I think there are quite a few dimensions which are interesting to cover, and they form an excellent background to assess knowledge management videos and rate them for clarity and metadata, particularly in our target group as the knowledge management network, the network of networks, where lots of other local leaders are contributing and structuring maybe their content for their own local Asian, European, African, American, Australian partners. I hope I didn't forget anybody, and help them to better access our topic of knowledge management. So, building on the standard, I derived a few metadata. This is just regular. I mean, we need an URL, we need a title that's not related to any standard or framework. Just this is housekeeping. But here we have a knowledge management focus, like acquiring new knowledge or handling outdated knowledge, or the enablers, processes, for example, or the knowledge management culture. And this is then allowing for a basic prompt. We can do a video analysis, and here I would like to share one learning of my own. I'm using Gemini a lot because Gemini is a Google product, obviously, which is very much liking the YouTube content. So they are better aligned than other contents. So if you share a YouTube video with the Gemini, then Gemini can access these documents and read the video formats wonderfully. And we start, I refer to the prompting guide, yeah, just a regular structure, define a task, constraints, input, output. So that's quite simple. And here I have the first part of my prompt, which I can share with you just in a second. It's the first part for video content analysis. So the task for the agent is to do a structured data extraction. We have to just name that task, and then we define the output format. I would like to have a single CSV file, and the language should be English because we are quite a very diverse community. And for example, the default language of my Gemini is sometimes mixing German. Yeah, so I try to give that as an additional prompt element. Please talk only English, otherwise other people might have difficulties to understand, or I would maybe have difficulties to read your inputs. Then we have a few structural constraints. This is quite technical. I wouldn't really go into that, but focus on the technical requirements. So we have the down here, and I switch to the next page. Okay, we have these categories like the agent is supposed to extract metadata, like who are the authors, what is the location, what is the title, what is the URL. Maybe we know about participants, so if it's quite a popular or quite a contested topic, maybe that's of relevance. And then we have these dimensions of knowledge management focus. Yeah, and here we have the enablers. You recognize the same dimensions which we have seen just in the standard. So it's the same element. Okay, and the address here now is quite the scale here is important because we don't know about the videos, right? The question is not, is the content good or is it genius content or is it basic content like not worthwhile to watch? But the question is different, like is it covered at all? So we do not assess the quality, but just simple ask, is, for example, this topic of applying current knowledge addressed in that video or not? Is it addressed to a very low or a medium level, or is this maybe the core topic? So I think that's quite a simple approach, and it's differentiated to a few dimensions. And it's neutral, saying just, yes, this is covering the topic of human capital, or maybe not. Yeah, it's maybe focusing a little bit more on culture or something else, you know. And if I'm not interested, or if I'm interested in culture and it's not covered, obviously the decision means not to watch that video. I think it's quite trivial. Down here, the last line is to copy a URL. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to play and work this how-to session right now. So I've been talking for 20 minutes now, 25 minutes. It's time for you to work a little bit. And I would like to share, what would I like to share? A little working document. See, I created a Google file, a spreadsheet. I hope you can see it, which is quite simple. It's created for today. And here I have, this is the title page. This is the prompt page. See? So please note that this is about 3 columns in case you're using that. And I would like to share the link. Here is my chat. Yeah, I hope you can access this. And the output then should be shared somewhere here, okay? I created already 2 test documents, so I would like to invite you guys to test this prompt. Yeah, it's a few lines. See, it's 40 lines. Test it in your Gemini context. I recommend Gemini because, as I mentioned, it's easy to access the YouTube videos. I had some difficulties to use my ChatGPT or Claude context, but maybe this is not a problem in your context because they're different approaches. And then we just share it and paste your result here. Uh, Alternatively, if this is not accessible to you, I can share a prompt as a text document. And just give me a second. I can paste it maybe here. No, I cannot. But I could paste the text, the prompt somewhere here in the chat. So maybe no, it's not working. I need to split it. So the simplest question, ladies and gentlemen, would be if you could give me an indicator that you can access our spreadsheet.
Actually,
Jules,
it's
No.
requesting access. So maybe if you change access
I,
for,
I I shared copy link and anybody could work.
yeah, maybe click on the share button there with the, yeah, and then you change
Yeah.
access. Yeah. And if now it's gonna work, hopefully. Mhm.
It's so
Yeah.
good to have you in the team. I tested it, but obviously in my domain it's working. Yeah.
Yeah, it's working
Yeah,
now.
these are good.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Yeah, and
excellent.
the quick thing should be, we have a complex code or a complex prompt with about 40 lines and a clear structure, clear criteria, and in an ideal world, you would now paste that in combination with one of your favorite knowledge management videos. Maybe Edwin, you were talking about the podcast. Maybe you use this one. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm sure all of you have a wonderful, relevant, favorite video content, and we run that analysis. And in a few seconds, this could end up in a shared output. So let's take the time. Yeah. I hope you can see my slides. This is the individual effort, like all of you are please applying that prompt. And then,
So go to gemini.google.com.
yes,
Yeah.
assuming that you have an account. Yeah. If you don't have a Gemini account, you need to register, which is usually a free domain. But, this is the assumption. Yeah. If you would like to use the tool, you need to register. In my It looks like this, Gemini, and we paste the prompt here. I paste it as unformatted text, and then I replace the link down here with my preferred YouTube video. I need to find one. So I take this one. I delete the brackets because sometimes they are creating a problem, and that's it. Yeah, machine is
So
doing the work.
link. Okay. I'm looking at.
My connection is delivering this kind of output. See, it's a structured output. And sometimes, it's making troubles to let itself be pasted into the into the spreadsheet. So my workaround is quite simple. I use an editor, paste the text, copy, and paste it somewhere here. I create a new sheet, paste it here. See, that's the output. Quite simple. And this works for me, obviously. So the learning and the how-to is not that working for me, but it's working for you as well. That would be really super cool.
So I am also not in. So Manfred, in the output tabs, I have view only access. Maybe let me see if I can create a new tab. So can't paste.
Anybody with the link is an editor. So we are updating.
Okay, let me reopen it. I have pasted in output 3, but I guess the content
This is
is.
exactly what I mean. If you do a little detour on a note, whatever note tool you use, yeah, and paste the
Mhm.
output from here to the
Yeah,
note taker, and then copy again, you should be able to paste it here.
okay.
Yeah,
Manfred, please, would you create more tabs for us, I
this is just a
guess?
plus down here. So I'm
Yeah,
creating,
I don't see it.
it's on the lower
Okay.
left. Yeah.
Once.
So sheet two, one, two, three are taken. No, yeah, three is taken. So you can start with 8, 9, 10, whatever. Excellent.
So,
Julia, I see your Brazilian content is presented in English, so that's why I think it's really important to have the
No, it's
prompt.
actually the video is in Portuguese.
See, and the language
Yeah,
reported here is English, and that's why I'm
English.
extremely happy. So we can use the metadata, even though the original content is not English, like Portuguese. Yeah,
Excellent.
that's helping a lot, isn't it? I mean, for the rest of
Yeah,
us, for me, yeah. So it's
yeah.
quite convenient. I'm just checking, Julia. Yeah, and you identified yourself. Okay,
yeah, I also was able to do it after copying it in
wonderful.
Notepad. Yeah.
Wonderful. Excellent. So we are progressing. I think I would leave you here a little bit and move on, yeah, for two more slides. Uh, because then I would like to, go one step ahead. I'm changing to my slideshow again and give you some more time to, paste that. Because now we are moving from the individual effort to the group level. I think we are creating a shared data set, and this is much more interesting than myself playing with my data. But let's collaborate, which is the motto and the mission of KMGN, and create a shared data set. And then, let's try to create a visual, a shared heat map. So for doing that, I need to download the spreadsheet, but I give you a few more minutes on uh, on that spreadsheet. I think we have one, two, no, sorry, one, two, three, four, five, six, one. Yeah, we have a few inputs already, so 6 lines. That would be interesting, and the ideal output would be to create the heat map. Maybe I just start the process. Please don't mind, because this is a live operation and we need a few seconds to process that material. I'm downloading it, okay? So I'm doing a download here on my local system and uploading it to another GPT, which I created. Uh, in advance. I tested that earlier for you. So this is, see, it was working. I try to now create a file format that is useful for Flourish, for a visualization tool. So what I'm doing is I'm uploading the data, which was downloaded just now. Just checking for the most current. So that is number 2, which is fine for me. Yeah. And say let's repeat the process which I did up there to integrate the data you provided and create a Flourish sheet. So this is working now and giving it a few minutes to work. And we do another one. So Matt and Julia, I think we are using a lot of text recording, like we are creating right now in the Zoom to produce Zoom protocols. We have a few bots present here, so their owners will receive an email like I got, and we can use different, like not video, but text content and find out about regular meetings and how we can find a heat map, for example, or an activity map based on that content. So we collect the data, which is like copy pasting the data from the email box. Then we clean maybe the format. I learned that sometimes Zoom is changing the format. Like sometimes it's presenting tables, sometimes it's creating only text, and this is making it difficulty. It's making it difficult for LLMs to automatically transcribe the content. So I prefer to have it in a text format and then give it a little structure again and ask what are the topics covered, because in that recording we're talking about lots of topics. So I wish the LLM to explore. This time I let it define the criteria itself and say, what did you find actually? But I define a scale, which is the same as today, proportions of time dedicated to some topics. Then I ask the LLM to explore the context stepwise and find out about the different topics which I mentioned. Like, for example, we were talking about wikis and storytelling and other similar context in the Zoom documents. Unfortunately, this is not the final output, so we have to create a few more analysis, yeah, like interact with the data. For example, ask about the time allocation for each of those topics, and LLMs are doing that as a foundation. Then I'm asking it as a partner, to suggest ways to optimally format it with Flourish, because, or you could do it with Canvas or any other tool as well, and ask the LLM to recommend better choices. So this is the exploration phase. And then obviously I try to do the same, but what is running right now in parallel to provide the data according to the structure I gave as an example in Flourish, and format the data for Flourish structures. I give you just a visual. This is how it looks like in Flourish. Yeah? It's just a spreadsheet having a few columns, and then we are creating this table. So it's quite simple. And if it's working, ladies and gentlemen, the download is here available. See, this is the download CSV, which is exactly, this is the result of our work. Okay, this is what I uploaded just now, the version 2. So I'm downloading it now, giving it a different name. Just a second. This means KMGN Learn Your Tech, or, well, and this is the live version. Okay. So this is the document that we are going to upload here. And once again, I am changing the tool. See, this is the knowledge week example, and this is the copy. This is what we try to do. So I'm opening a default template and uploading data, and now the risk comes to play. I take your data, ladies and gentlemen, upload it, and import it. It's not sufficient. 23 lines is not a lot. I'm not impressed at all. Upload the data. This is much less than I got so far. And this is my problem now with the live version. Yeah. Fortunately, I have different data prepared in advance. I need to go into details, and I will try how that was working. I don't know. I don't know what's not working, but fortunately we can move to our PowerPoint, which you should see, and the PowerPoint gives us results. See, this was the case study of our 50 sessions and the topics we discovered and the time we dedicated to each of those topics. And you see, we have some topics which are not covered, like the downtime in our website. This is not a discussion point. Thank you to the technology team. So this is very excellent news. But then there are some topics, for example, at the end of the year, which is the session 47, where we talk about succession planning, very, very high intense. Yeah, with high intensity. So we can visualize the topics, and I think that's relating to lots of projects as well. And depending on the maturity level of projects, we see different topics and different priorities pop up in our heat map. And you've seen how this is structured. I'm just trying. I just come back to my live application. Just a second. This I redo, and this is how it should look like if we would have done it right, but somehow something was going wrong. I'm very sorry. The first prompt did work. The second one prompt did not work. I have to find out, but essentially it's quite.
That's okay. That always happens. That means it's real. It's
Maury,
fine.
I'm happy that you are
I'm
accepting that.
supporting you.
But essentially, we have the shared data and converting it. I give you the prompt to convert our spreadsheet to the data which needs to look like this. We have our events, and then there would be your Brazilian data. Then we have the same categories, like, for example, applying current knowledge, technology, processes, whatever. And create a little summary, something like that. So it should be that kind of structure, which was visible here. And we have here the elements. See, some contents were covered highly intense, some only done here medium intense. So this is essentially restructured, yeah, and providing the foundation for here for our data. And then that's it. Yeah, it's just the last step is missing. So I come back to my presentation. This was the short prompting, right? What is much more interesting in the knowledge management domain, from my point of view, is not a single shot where we do something like that, a few rounds. See, this is the starting prompt. Then we do some refinements and do some chit chat. And after 50 pages, it's done more or less. Yeah. I think it's much more useful to go one step ahead and ask our Gemini or ChatGPT or Grok or whatever agent we are using, how it is treating us, how we can learn about ourselves in longer conversations. So the technology back there is the locutor or interlocutor. And the elder ones, if you remember maybe this Star Trek figure, it's Commander Picard, and he was converted to a AI system or a collective system. Let's stop here on the Star Trek, but focus on what is the AI knowing about us. Yeah, and you could do this, for example, by asking about the dimension, because it's necessary for a large language model to define the profile of the user. The large language model must know who is using it, yeah, in order to better align and fit the kind of answers. So we have a few dimensions, yeah. For example, we are a basic user, for example, starting school with like 6, 7 years, whatever, and using ChatGPT maybe or Gemini or any other tool, or we are experts in a very high advanced level. Yeah. And the same applies to the emotional state. This could be sensitive or stoic, just to have a spread. This could be on intentions like creational, like having just for fun or playing a quiz or for learning purposes, or maybe strategic heuristic driven. So you see 7 dimensions. Yeah. And again, it's wonderful for me to identify the profile of the LLM, which is developing about me. And if we're using it as a strategic tool in our larger companies and enterprises, it's maybe depending on the function, like marketing function or R&D department, how to frame the interlocutors to better address our audience. For example, in marketing, the effective mode should be a little bit different than in the R&D department where it's facts only, right? And I shared the prompt. Yeah, this is the prompt collection where you could just start, yeah, and ask your LLM which ones you're using. Like maybe the person using DeepSeek, yeah, maybe you ask the first prompt. I'm just stopping the presentation to paste it. Just a second. Maybe you ask your system. And just sharing this prompt, what it's reporting on you. All right. If you do that in Gemini, yeah, you get an answer immediately, and then you do the next levels. For example, you mirror me or our department depending on the way we use ChatGPT or Gemini or other tools. And interestingly, it's reporting from a user perspective, for example, our value statement. And then you can ask, is this value statement, which is visible and auditable, the same as my internal version? Yeah? And if not, what is the impact on using AI? So I think for interpretation purposes, this is extremely helpful to know what kind of model AI is developing about myself. You know, this might be just a fun game for now, but if we talk about shared documentations, now I'm starting my last 2 slides, and interpreting our shared contexts, asking, as this interlocutors might do, how well are we delivering to that purpose? Like neutral language in the R&D department, or empathic language in the marketing department, or legally strict in legals. So depending on the purpose, we could frame our communication styles differently. I think that's quite interesting to derive from our usual use patterns with the LLM interaction. And well, actually, this is what I'd like to share with you. My last question here would be, uh, is that making sense to you? Is it good to avoid the middle ground and to know about the distribution and the landscape of AI, which is having about us? Yeah. And maybe for me, is it making sense to use different standards, different frameworks to better extract knowledge from unstructured data, like videos, for example, or like transcripts from interactions like we're doing today? And the final one is reflect our LLM footprint. Did you ever do that? Reflect your own LLM footprint? Anybody here? Julia?
Never. This is really
Not yet?
nice to.
Not yet?
No.
As a teacher, I think you should lean a little bit more to the factual side, but maybe you're not. I don't know. Yeah. So, and it's privacy, so please
Interesting.
don't share. But maybe test it. I would like to, share my prompts with you so you can apply them, and I do that by just pasting them into our chat. Okay. So this is what I do here. So maybe you apply it for your own. See, this is private information for you only. And then we could use it as a tool. This is the level 3. Use it as a tool for framing communication depending on our audience. Yeah, non-technical or technical audiences are using different kind or needing different kind of content. So I give you the last one. Just paste it somewhere in a note and use it depending on your purposes. For me, it's quite interesting to learn about the coldness or the warmness of my interaction styles, and it's quite helpful actually. Some more feedbacks. We have a few more minutes on the reflection style. Moria, did you reflect about your AI use with your AI, or are you settled enough to not depend on that kind of feedback?
The truth is that without asking, I got several times from the AI chats, whatever, their thoughts, because we know you, because I know you and you are ABC, then I'm answering in this you, or this would suit you better because I know you very, very good, whatever.
Mhm,
So A, some things are in my profile.
mhm.
B, it learns and there are shortcuts that I don't really have to make because it knows what I like,
Yeah.
even if I'm not saying. And three, sometimes it tells me that it knows what it thinks about me and how I
Mhm.
act.
Sometimes it's interesting and amazing. Sometimes it's just a threat, huh?
Yeah, but I think that there's another message, an important message that you provided today, and I think that is the most important message for me, is to look around us and to find more and more databases and ask ourselves where they can help us with our business deep needs. Because you gave, for example, the courses, course videos.
Yeah,
But let's say in my website, one of the things I have is something like 250 book reviews, and they sit there.
exactly. Yeah, it's the
But
same.
I can ask myself, and I don't think that we have to even base it on a standard or on a framework. Please categorize them. What would be, look at this, what would be the 3, 4, 5 criteria that you would categorize them by? I have my ideas. Let's say audience, if it's managers
Yeah,
or technical people,
yeah,
main topic, length. You choose 3 to 5. We negotiated on that. Then we have a criteria list, and then we tell them, okay, now operate on the list and build us a table that summarizes. And later on, once you have the table is the data, once you have the data, it can be visualized in many ways, including also heat maps and other usages. But I think that this is, we are all the time saying we have endless data surrounding us. So that was look at it, use it, and start asking yourselves, when we're looking at the business needs, on the deep business needs, where is there additional data that we can structure and use for our good needs?
excellent. And if the way you suggest to structure your book reviews, I think is absolutely making sense depending on your client space, right? Or I
It's not
just
my
highlighted
client
here,
space. This is something for the community. So
or the
I don't know
community,
who reads it.
but depending on the audience you tackle, yeah, for sometimes I have students, yeah, I would recommend them a different selection, but I could use that criteria and give me the short list of, let's say, 5 readings, yeah, for this
Mhm.
kind of problem or target group. So I think using those criteria is helping me a lot, and it's making my work much more relevant. And I think if we adhere to standards, like literal standards, like our knowledge management or the ISO 9001 or any other, I think the
That was in
transaction
addition,
costs
yes.
are going lower. Yeah.
Yes, but it's a wonderful message. But
Yeah.
I didn't say that I don't agree with your message. I just said that I have another message that
Absolutely.
was between the lines.
Yeah.
Go look where your data sets,
Yeah.
unstructured data sets, may be structured,
Yeah.
analyze not only course videos, not only videos, but videos,
Yeah.
data sets, whatever,
Mhm.
to help. And we're all the time saying not only for the good of, yes, we can visualize something, but in order to better solve our deep business needs, and take our organizations or ourselves 1, 2, 10 steps forward.
Make better decisions. This should be my last sentence. Thank you, Moria. Vet, over to you.
Yeah. So thank you, Manfred. I think very, very insightful session. Uh, a lot of us tend to be very, very lay users of all these tools, whereas the power really lies in understanding how to, uh, use these frameworks the way you explained it. Use a combination of tools as well.
Yeah.
So plenty of food for thought, plenty to experiment with. And Manfred, would you be in a position to share those slides? I know you
Sure.
copy pasted the prompts over here,
Yeah.
but there is a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah.
So would it be possible to share?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. So the
We will do
shareable
something
version,
similar. Yeah, we will.
yeah,
We have the website. We can link that. Yeah, somehow.
sure. And also, can we host a recording of this session on YouTube?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's another
Welcome.
thing I
Yeah.
wanted from you, just in case
Yeah.
there is any confidential data that you used.
No, there's no
So,
confidentiality. It's just our KMGN work. Yeah, it's
yeah,
nothing client side or it's our work. So I think it's good to give back. Yeah.
yeah. So thank you once more about volunteering to take the very first session on
Thank you for
this
hosting. Yeah.
Know Your KM Tech. We look forward to the next session as well.
Thank you, Vet.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
And see you again in another
Thank you very
KMGN forum.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Manfred, would you be able to share that second prompt to use configuring the data, like combining all the video analysis
Sure.
to,
Send it to you.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll
It's
try
quite
it.
a simple.
Very,
It's a
very
quite a
nice.
simple prompt, and I can share it with you. Like, yeah, I send a link to you. It's quite a simple one. Yeah.
Excellent.
And it's just reformatting. It's not rocket science. Yeah.
Okay, but really useful, and we can
Yeah.
apply in many different
Yeah.
situations. Thank you so much, Manfred.
Juliet, the best way next time you encounter such a situation is describe the machine your problem and say, please advise how to do that. Yeah. And then the machine is doing the prompt, not you.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
sometimes I request them to help me
Yeah.
with the prompt, and
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good.
Okay. See you. Thank you.
Excellent.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Sonia. Bye, Julia.
Bye-bye.